The following heels weren't just the heroes of their own stories, my friends. This evil lot were all secretly the real babyfaces during their fights against everyone from the Immortal One to the People's Champion. So I am Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 times wrestling heels were secretly the babyface. Number 10, Kevin Owens is bullied by your hero, Braun Strowman. All Kevin Owens wanted to do was strike a deal with the monster in the bank known as Braun Strowman, one that would see KO help the big lad successfully cash in his world title contract in exchange for a match for the Universal Championship. And how did the apparent hero of this story respond to Owens' offer? By subsequently making his life hell, destroying the former champ's car, launching him off the stage in a portable loo, and even dropping him off the side of a cage in the lead up to SummerSlam 2018. Owens would then be brutally humiliated once again in a Barclays Center squash. Strowman had made it pretty clear that he wasn't interested in a partnership with the Red Show heel after flipping his adversary's car 7 days after his initial invitation. So the needless bulldozing and embarrassing of Owens on TV in the weeks that followed only succeeded in making fans secretly sympathize with the backstabbing villain more and wonder what the hell this monster's problem was. Number 9, Randy Savage understandably lashes out at Hulk Hogan. After joining forces in the wake of Hulk Hogan helping Randy Savage fight off Honky Tonk Man and the Hart Foundation, back at 1987's Saturday Night Main Event 12, the legendary Mega Powers would eventually go on to feud with the likes of Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant and the Twin Towers. But issues started to arise in 1989, when the Hulkster decided he wanted Miss Elizabeth to manage him too. And with the yellow and red hero also accidentally dumping the Macho Man out of that year's Royal Rumble, tensions were at an all-time high heading into the Main Event 2 on February 3rd. There, Elizabeth would inadvertently get wiped out by her Macho Man during a bout against the aforementioned Twin Towers, with an emotional Hogan then choosing to leave his exasperated tag partner in the ring mid-match and carry Savage's lady to the back to get help. This was clearly the last straw, and you can't exactly blame Savage for losing his cool in the aftermath. Clearly feeling this babyface Immortal One with lust in his eyes had been overstepping the line and was intent on stealing his wife away from him, the WWF champion understandably finally lashed out and kicked off a feud that would lead to a WrestleMania 5 battle between the two. Number 8, Dakota Kai targets Tan Knox after her friend refused to speak up. In the weeks leading up to TakeOver War Games, the captain of Team Kick was left out of Rhea Ripley's squad for the epic cage match, and rather than vouch for her rejected pal or having her back after such a soul-crushing moment in her career, Knox simply kept quiet in the background. It didn't matter that Kai managed to find a way into the match down the road, the damage had already been done. She didn't even think about at least trying to squeeze her mate into the historic first ever women's War Games match too. The talented Kai had been overlooked and ignored by everyone going into that event, and finally decided it was time for folks to start taking her seriously at TakeOver. Was this the most shocking moment in NXT history? If it wasn't, then I want you to let me know exactly what was in the comment section right down below. Number 7, Daniel Bryan was trying to protect the planet. This apparent heel was determined to use his new platform to save the world and the people in it, when the planet is dying due to folks slurping sodas with plastic straws and buying toxic merchandise, and those watching on are depressingly filling their bodies with empty calories and processed meats that are harming them from within. There just isn't time to politely ask people to alter their ways, so Bryan was focused on forcefully inspiring the masses to put down the hot dogs and crappy t-shirts and change their lives for the better. And how did the WWE Universe respond to this passionate eco-warrior trying to make sure there was still a world here for the next generation to enjoy? They booed, of course. Fickle. Number 6, Finn Balor had his big moment stolen away from him by a cackling Seth Rollins. This then recent NXT call-up had taken Monday Night by storm back in 2016, and soon found himself battling over the Universal Championship at SummerSlam. However, right when Finn Balor was on the verge of greatness, a reckless visionary by the name of Seth Rollins suddenly went and stole what should have been a life-changing moment. The Prince never forgot who was responsible for derailing a run that looked set to fire Finn to the very top. And when Balor did finally decide to get revenge for the momentum, title and year Rollins took from him in June 2023, you couldn't really blame the Judgment Day man for targeting the flamboyant World Heavyweight Cruiserweight champion that tore apart his life, then laughed in his face the very next night. Number 5. Molly Holly tries to clean up the division. Not happy with becoming another one of the many ladies on the roster who was constantly shoved into bra and panties and paddle on a pole matches, Molly Holly decided to take matters into her own hands in 2002 and began trying to turn the women's division into a pure and wholesome one. This new villain then came across as even more of a sympathetic figure within the division when Trish Stratus decided to make fun of her behind as their feud intensified, because that's what heroes apparently did, I guess. This was a respectable individual who just wanted to set a good example for the youngsters of tomorrow, and here she was being teased and presented as the bad gal of this division purely because she didn't feel like exploiting her body on weekly television. Number 4. Cactus Jack turns on the hardcore fanbase. Whilst working in the land of extreme in the mid-90s, Cactus Jack decided to do the unthinkable and turned his back on his excessively violent ways after spotting a sign in the crowd that read Kane Dewey. Dewey was Foley's eldest son, and the thought of sick fans thinking it was a good idea to put such a disturbing statement on a piece of cardboard forced the legend to justifiably reassess his place in the company and business as a whole. Foley was soon done pandering to these horrendous fans. In Mick's mind, this bunch of heartless supporters didn't care if ECW's fearless babyfaces completely destroyed their bodies in the ring for their entertainment. So why bother busting yourself open and putting yourself through hell for people who wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire, in his words? Number 3. CM Punk takes the spotlight back. CM Punk made it clear during his iconic rant at the top of the ramp back in June 2011 that he felt he deserved the WrestleMania main event and attention just as much as, if not more than, the likes of The Rock and John Cena. The Punker couldn't shake the feeling of being underappreciated. So while it was presented as something of a dastardly shock when Punk suddenly took out the Great One on Raw 1000 a year on from his legendary pipe bomb, it actually wasn't all that surprising the more you thought about it. Punk had been busting his ass as the company's top champion, but he was still largely overshadowed by Rocky and John Cena during that eventual record-breaking run. The voice of the voiceless was rudely interrupted and ignored by Rocky, and tired of not being given the spotlight the WWE champion should receive every single week. Number 2. Bret Hart is tired of being treated like crap. Similarly to the best in the world, Bret Hart wasn't an out-and-out villain back in 1997. He was just tired. Tired of being screwed out of his precious WWE championship, tired of WWE management not doing anything to protect the Hitman from these constant injustices, and tired of fans cheering on loudmouth anti-heroes like Stone Cold Steve Austin instead of the new generation hero. Hart quite rightly snapped on the Raw before WrestleMania 13. That explosive work-shoot promo at Vince McMahon and the fickle US fans who didn't have his back during those controversial times set the stage for a terrific double turn at the show of shows. He simply made a point of letting the stateside fans know that he was done trying to be a hero for an audience who'd rather celebrate a cheating rattlesnake than the classy Hitman, and would stick to being Europe and Canada's babyface warrior instead. Number 1. MJF has always been our scumbag. Make no mistake, the Salt of the Earth has committed some pretty diabolical acts during his time in AEW. However, Maxwell Jacob Friedman has always been so much more than a two-dimensional devil. The now AEW World Champion has let his guard down and let fans know about everything from his failed attempts to break into WWE, to the way he was horrifically bullied as a child, to the fact he openly suffers from ADD. And while that doesn't excuse the way he treated his many adversaries, and even his allies as he eventually grew into one of the biggest stars in the business, fans still found themselves unexpectedly pitying the scoundrel at various points in his battles against the likes of CM Punk, Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. That secret attachment to the dastardly villain has only become stronger by the week in the wake of Maxwell becoming Adam Cole's unlikely bestie too. And it's now got to the stage where the guy who will still happily resort to choking out his rivals with tape is arguably the most over anti-hero in wrestling. All because folks simply cannot help but relate to the flawed, charismatic scumbag holding the Triple B. And that's our list. Know of any other times wrestling heels were secretly the babyface? Well, let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and don't forget to like, share and click on that subscribe button while you are down there. Also, if you're a fan of this sort of stuff, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I have been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you very much for spending a bit of time with us us today. Now go and kick this day or night's ass wherever you are on this planet. Bye bye!